Imagine a crowded city street, suddenly falling silent. A monk climbs onto a truck in the middle of traffic, and with just one chilling sentence, he freezes an entire crowd. What happens next will leave you shocked, terrified, and unable to look away. The afternoon sun burned hot above the crowded street. Engines hummed. Vendors shouted over one another. The smell of grilled meat and exhaust fumes tangled in the air. People moved quickly, brushing past without looking up. Then the first scream. Heads turned. At the edge of the intersection, a monk stepped down from the curb. His robe, a deep orange, caught the light like fire. He moved with slow determination. Each step felt heavy, deliberate, as if pulled by something unseen. The traffic horn blared, sharp and impatient. But he did not flinch. The monk reached a white truck waiting at the red light. Without a word, he placed his hand on the hood. The crowd froze, uncertain. The driver lowered the window, eyes wide, trembling. The monk climbed onto the vehicle, steady, silent. Gasps burst through the air. Children clung to their parents. Phones lifted, recording every second. The monk stood tall above the street. Wind pressed against his robe, making it ripple like a flag. His eyes searched the crowd, piercing and unblinking. When he spoke, his voice carried like thunder. One among you carries the shadow that will swallow this city. The sound seemed to hang in the air. No one moved. No one spoke. The street, moments ago alive with noise, sank into a silence, so heavy it ached in the chest. A dog barked once, sharp and lonely, then fell silent. Every eye fixed on the monk. The truck engine rattled beneath him, trembling as if alive. The driver's hands gripped the wheels so tightly his knuckles turned pale. A whisper slid through the crowd. Faces shifted, nervous, uncertain. Some took a step back. Others leaned forward, as if pulled closer by invisible threads. The monk raised his hand. His palm faced outward, steady, unshaking. The air felt thicker, heavier, as though the city itself held its breath. A street vendor dropped a spoon, the clang echoing unnaturally loud. The monk's gaze locked onto a man near the center of the crowd. The man froze. Sweat traced down his temple. His eyes darted left, right, searching for escape. The monk's voice cut through the silence again. "You know what you carry." The man's lips parted, but no sound came. His chest rose and fell too fast, too shallow. Around him, people began to edge away, forming a circle. The monk pointed directly at him. Every heartbeat in the street seemed to thunder in unison. The man collapsed to his knees. A shiver rippled through the crowd. No one dared to reach for him. His hands clawed at the air, trembling, desperate. His breath rasped, sharp and broken. The monk's voice dropped low, yet every word cut clear. "It grows inside you." The man's pupils widened, black swallowing the color. Gasps erupted again, louder, frightened. A woman covered her child's eyes. The ground beneath the man's knees darkened, as though liquid seeped up from beneath the concrete. An acrid smell filled the air, stinging the throat. People coughed, stumbled back. The monk did not move. His hand remained lifted, steady, commanding. The man's body arched backward, a scream tearing from his chest. The sound was not human. It rattled the glass of nearby windows. Birds exploded from the rooftops, scattering in every direction. The monk's eyes narrowed. The crowd held its breath, waiting, fearing, not knowing what would break loose next. The man's scream fractured into a guttural roar. His shadow stretched unnaturally across the pavement. It twisted, writhing like a living creature. Children cried. A motorbike fell with a crash as its rider fled. The air chilled suddenly, as if the sun itself recoiled. The monk pressed his palm forward. A golden light flickered from his hand. It pulsed once, faint but steady. The man convulsed. Veins bulged across his neck, black against his pale skin. His jaw opened wider than it should, far wider, as if unhinged. From his mouth poured a whisper that was not his own. The words were broken, ancient, unrecognizable. The crowd shrank back, trembling, clutching at one another. The monk's robe whipped violently in the wind, though no storm had risen. He spoke again, louder, firmer. The rumble spread beneath the asphalt like a living heartbeat. Windows trembled in their frames. Loose signs swung violently, chains clattering against metal. The man hovered inches above the ground, his limbs stiff, unnatural. The shadow beneath him swelled, spilling outward like ink in water. People screamed, scattering to the edges of the street. Some dropped their bags, their shoes, anything to run faster. Yet no one dared cross the invisible boundary of that expanding darkness. The monk's eyes blazed with a fierce, unyielding fire. He stepped down from the truck, slow but deliberate. Each footfall landed with the sound of stones striking stone. The man's mouth opened again, wider, the voice inside him layered with many tones. Some high, some guttural, all speaking in unison. "You are too late." The words echoed as though spoken by 1,000 unseen mouths. The monk clenched his fist, his knuckles glowing faintly. The golden light burst brighter, painting the ground in trembling radiance. The man's body jerked, fighting, twisting against unseen bonds. The crowd could only watch, paralyzed between terror and awe. The shadow writhed higher, reaching like hands clawing at the monk. "You cannot remain hidden." The man's body jolted upright, as if pulled by invisible strings. His eyes rolled back, leaving only white. The ground cracked beneath his feet. A low rumble shook the street, growing deeper, darker, louder. The shadow's hands lashed upward, black and jagged, clawing at the monk's chest. The air split with a sound like tearing metal. The monk thrust his glowing fist forward, striking the darkness head-on. Light collided with shadow. The street erupted in a flash so bright that people shielded their eyes and stumbled. For an instant, silence swallowed everything. Then came the sound, a shriek so piercing it cut through bone. The man's body convulsed midair, bent in angles no body should bend. The shadow tore from him in ragged streams, spilling like smoke whipped by violent wind. Faces in the crowd lit in terror as shapes moved inside that smoke. Faces, claws, twisting forms without names. The monk planted his feet and roared a chant that rattled the air. The golden light surged outward, circling the man, burning against the shadow's grip. The man's mouth snapped shut, blood at the corners of his lips. His body dropped suddenly, heavy, lifeless, onto the concrete. The shadow hovered above him, seething, black as night with 1,000 eyes opening within it. Children screamed. Adults clung to walls, unable to breathe. The monk raised both hands now, his whole body trembling from the force. The shadow surged forward like a tidal wave, swallowing the space between them. The shadow's hands lashed upward, black and jagged, clawing at the monk's chest. The air split with a sound like tearing metal. The monk thrust his glowing fist forward, striking the darkness head-on. Light collided with shadow. The street erupted in a flash so bright that people shielded their eyes and stumbled. For an instant, silence swallowed everything. Then came the sound, a shriek so piercing it cut through bone. The man's body convulsed midair, bent in angles no body should bend. The shadow tore from him in ragged streams, spilling like smoke whipped by violent wind. Faces in the crowd lit in terror as shapes moved inside that smoke. Faces, claws, twisting forms without names. The monk planted his feet and roared a chant that rattled the air. The golden light surged outward, circling the man, burning against the shadow's grip. The man's mouth snapped shut, blood at the corners of his lips. His body dropped suddenly, heavy, lifeless, onto the concrete. The shadow hovered above him, seething, black as night with 1,000 eyes opening within it. Children screamed. Adults clung to walls, unable to breathe. The monk raised both hands now, his whole body trembling from the force. The shadow surged forward like a tidal wave, swallowing the space between them.